All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're having a wonderful day. It is May 30th, the last day of the month, and we already have an interesting day on our hands. Not only are we going over all of the trade stuff, we're going over all of the trade, the back and forth, Section 1, 2, 3, 4, 201, 322, 122, all of it, 1974, Section 899, and we're going over all of that. And now this morning, or last night, you hear from Besant saying that there was hiccups with China and that they need to talk, and then Trump comes out this morning. It was very early. I thought my E-Trade was just glitching, but no, he went on True Social and pretty much started talking smack about China, said that they violated the trade agreement, and yeah, now we're back to more beef and deciding what to do. You also had PCE. You even had retail sales, even personal income. Personal income has actually been on fire, and then PCE came in line, and even the trade balance, it was actually a lot better than expected. So there's a lot going on. This has already been a crazy week. It's really going to be headline after headline and no move, or now maybe we have enough info to finally make the move. So, Chatadonia, I hope you guys are ready for it, baby. It's Friday. You had the holidays told, but Chad, good morning. How are ya? Oh, what up, Ryan? Mr. Edwards, Dos Nacho, Kurt, Malcolm, Super Takeoff, James Cash, Joey, Laker, Jay. Good morning, baby. What up, Sean Murphy? What up, Tyler? How you doing, Mike? Sin City, BG, Rumson, you mad in the house? Julie, Samuel, Skiddo. What's going on, baby? How you doing, Kurt? What up, Devlin? Mike 09. Oh, what up, Dystopian Mo? Winning, baby. Smoking, Devin Weiss, Mr. Luigi, KD, Andrew, Javier, Chad. Oh, my goodness. It's Friday, baby. What up, Mr. Mosby? What up, Orange Juice? What up, Jacobin? Good morning, Nate. Good morning, Caleb. What up, No Easy? Akulas. Good morning, Godfather, Rocky Todd, Johnny B. Good. Oh, my goodness. So, Chad, we're going to have a good Friday, bro. We better have a good Friday. It's not even Easter, but you're going to have a good Friday. So, here is Josh AI with the news. Good morning. Stock futures waver as tariffs dampen confidence. U.S. stock futures fluctuated as traders navigated renewed uncertainty about President Donald Trump's tariff policies and their impact on the American economy. S&P 500 contracts were little changed after dropping as much as 0.5%, pointing to a choppy finish for a week that saw equity swing between gains and losses. The dollar edged higher while treasuries were little changed. An index for Asian stocks was also weaker while European equities outperformed. Tariff headlines are once again shaping markets as unpredictability about the impact and scope of Trump's trade agenda pushes investors to reassess their appetite for risk. It follows a rebound in U.S. stocks that had set the S&P 500 on track for its biggest monthly gains since 2023 before momentum began to fade on fiscal and growth concerns. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said late Thursday that trade talks with China were a bit stalled. Earlier, a federal appeals court offered Trump a temporary reprieve from a ruling that threatened to throw out the bulk of his agenda. Trump aides have insisted that the president will not be denied his tariff push and that the policies will remain one way or another. The setup is quite pessimistic, whether you look at trade, fiscal outlooks, inflation, valuations, you name it, said Dan Boardman-Weston, Chief Investment Officer at BRI Wealth Management. We're keeping some cash on the sidelines as I expect volatility is here to stay for much longer. Later on Friday, traders' focus will turn to the U.S. Personal Consumption Expenditures Price Index, excluding food and energy, the Federal Reserve's preferred gauge of underlying inflation. for signals about the health of the economy and the outlook for interest rate cuts. While the impact of Trump's tariffs on April price data is expected to be modest, the trade policy influence is likely to become more apparent as soon as next month. On Thursday, a report showed the U.S. economy shrank at the start of the year due to weaker consumer spending and an even bigger impact from trade than initially reported. Meanwhile, European stocks continued to benefit from weaker sentiment toward the U.S. The Stoxx 600 rose 0.6%, setting the gauge on course for the biggest monthly gain since January. Funds in the region attracted inflows of about $1 billion in the week through May 28, while U.S. equities suffered outflows of about $5.1 billion, according to Bank of America Corp, citing EPFR global data. The dollar remained on track for its longest streak of monthly losses in 5 years, despite a modest 0.2% gain on Friday. Traders concerned that Trump's trade policies could undermine the economy is adding to the greenback's weakness and eroding its appeal as a traditional haven. No matter what happens, markets realize that we are facing a long period of uncertainty, said Win Thin, global head of market strategy at Brown Brothers Harriman and Company. Allowing tariffs to remain in place raises risks of stagflation and is both dollar and equity negative. Corporate highlights Nomura Holdings Inc. is setting its sights on the U.S. for growth despite the current turmoil surrounding the world's biggest economy. New World Development Company said that it plans to defer coupon payments due in June on perpetual bonds as a deadline neared for the cash-strapped builder to notify holders of its decision. Ex-Stellantis boss says new CEO is logical choice after own exit. Gap Inc. shares sank in pre-market trading after the retailer said it anticipates as much as $300 million in tariff impact. Banco Santander SA surpassed Barclays plc as Europe's largest issuer of significant risk transfers, according to S&P Global Ratings. Costco Wholesale Corp posted better than expected earnings in the third quarter, a sign that the nation's largest club chain is flexing its scale and devoted following to navigate tariffs. June's test. One look at the calendar tells you that the frantic seesaw rally in the U.S. stock market this month is at risk of running out of steam, at least temporarily. Pricey valuations, muted demand for hedges, and stretched investor positioning have left stocks vulnerable to a pullback, said Jeffrey Hirsch, editor of the Stock Traders Almanac. And June historically is not a great month for equities. The S&P 500 has risen just 0.2% on average in June over the past 3 decades, compared with a 0.8% move in the other 11 months of the year. According to data compiled by Bloomberg, the first test of the market's resolve will be the Fed's interest rate decision June 18th. 2 days later comes the triple witching options expirations, and the end of the month brings quarterly portfolio rebalancing. Those are critical milestones that will determine if bulls can keep driving stocks higher. It's not just June that poses an obstacle. Calendar-wise, the adage "sell in May and go away" alludes to a 6-month stretch ending in October that historically has been the worst time to own stocks. This time, fund managers have reduced cash holdings and invested heavily in U.S. stocks in recent weeks. That bullish tilt raises questions over who's left to buy after fund managers piled into stocks at a furious pace in May. Trump's tariff options slower, more complex if court fight fails. President Donald Trump's administration insists his tariffs are here to stay one way or another. The White House spent Thursday triaging the fallout from a pair of rulings that suspended the bulk of his tariffs imposed under an emergency authority that the courts say he overstepped. A federal appeals court temporarily paused that decision in order to hear arguments, though it could ultimately back the original ruling and block Trump's tariff policy. While Trump has vowed to appeal all the way to the Supreme Court if needed. The message from his top aides has been that the president will not be denied his tariff push and would simply turn to other authorities if needed. Trump even went to Truth Social this morning to say that China is not honoring their current agreements and alluded to no more Mr. Nice Guy. Bessent says U.S.-China talks stalled, pushes for Trump XI call. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said trade talks with China are a bit stalled and that a call between President Donald Trump and his counterpart Xi Jinping may be needed for the world's two largest economies to reach a deal. I would say that they are a bit stalled, Bessent said of the talks in an interview with Fox News Thursday. Bessent, who traveled to Switzerland earlier this month for talks with Chinese officials that saw both sides retreat from tariffs over 100% on each other's goods, said he believes more talks will happen with Chinese officials in the next few weeks. Still, Bessent said he sees the personal involvement of both country leaders as essential. Trump pressed Powell to lower rates in White House meeting. President Donald Trump pushed Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell to lower interest rates at their first in-person meeting since the president's inauguration, the White House said. The president told Powell that he believes the Fed chair is making a mistake by not lowering rates. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said at a briefing Thursday, that is putting us at an economic disadvantage to China and other countries, and the president's been very vocal about that both publicly and now I can reveal privately, she added. Leavitt said they did not discuss whether Trump would seek to remove Powell from his role. Powell's term as Fed chair expires in May 2026. A number of administration officials attended the meeting, including Vice President J.D. Vance, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, and National Economic Council Director Kevin Hassett, according to a White House official. The Fed said in a statement earlier Thursday that the two met at the White House at the president's invitation. They discussed economic developments, including growth, employment, and inflation, according to the statement. They last met in November 2019. Top overnight news, trade tariffs. Trump administration studying different method of reinstituting tariffs, WSJ. Trade and legal experts say Trump administration has other avenues to impose tariffs following court ruling, Reuters. Bessent says trade talks with China have stalled, potentially requiring Trump XZ call to move things along, FT Bloomberg. Companies say trade war has cost them $34 billion in lost sales and higher costs. Reuters. Japan could offer to purchase U.S.-made defense equipment as part of trade negotiations. Nikkei. China-U.S. shipping costs rise following tariff truce, but container bookings begin to slow. Bloomberg. Washington. Wall Street concerned about Section 899 revenge measure in Republican reconciliation bill, warns it could legalize weaponization of U.S. capital markets. Bloomberg. FT. Corporate. Dell lifts profit forecast on soaring AI server demand, expects record revenue as backlog grows. Reuters. Costco delivers strong Q3 earnings, absorbs tariff pressures to keep prices low and membership value high. Link. Boeing avoids prosecution in DOJ deal over 737 MAX crashes, will pay $1.1 billion in fines and victim compensation. Reuters. Zscaler shares jump after Q3 earnings beat, raised outlook and strong growth in zero trust security platform. SiliconANGLE. Marvel forecasts Q2 revenue above estimates on surging AI chip demand, data center growth. Reuters. Gap's strong Q1 earnings overshadowed by tariff hit. Shares plunge as trade war threatens $150 million impact, CNBC. Ford warns Michigan EV battery plant and 1,700 jobs at risk if Congress cuts clean energy tax credits. Bloomberg. Volkswagen reportedly holding constructive talks with Washington over further investments in U.S. Reuters. China tech companies in process of shifting away from NVIDIA towards domestically produced chips. FT. DeepSeek says R10528, the first meaningful upgrade to its R1 reasoning model, matched performance of global competitors including OpenAI and Google SCMP. Bankers warn of deposit flight as Senate stablecoin bill advances, raising competition fears for small banks. Bloomberg, central banks, Dallas Fed's Logan, and San Francisco Fed's Daily say policy in good place, solid economy affords patience. Bloomberg, ECB expected to cut rates twice more in 2025, but faces communication challenge amid trade uncertainty and market expectations. Bloomberg. ECB's Panetta says Eurozone disinflation nearly complete, but further ECB easing requires caution. Bloomberg. BOE's Bailey defends gradual rate cuts amid inflation uncertainty and global trade risks. Reuters. Bank of England policymaker plays down inflation risk in call for rate cuts. FT. RBA shifts focus from fighting inflation to addressing downside growth risks. Bloomberg. Economy. Eurozone lending accelerates investing. UK public's year-ahead inflation expectations dip. Longer-term outlook unchanged in May survey. Reuters. UK business confidence hits 9-month high as market optimism and trade prospects improve. This is money. German retail sales sharply lower in April. Reuters. Spanish inflation falls below ECB target, strengthening case for rate cut next week. Bloomberg. Tokyo core inflation rises by most in over 2 years, backing case for BOJ tightening. Bloomberg. Reuters. Australian retail sales unexpectedly shrink, continuing run of soft data as markets price in more rate cuts. Bloomberg. Markets. U.S. dollar set for 5th monthly decline as trade and fiscal uncertainty rattle markets. Reuters. EU stocks log biggest monthly gain since Jan as trade optimism lifts stocks 600. Bloomberg. Foreign investors net buyers of Japan equities for 8 weeks, longest streak since June 2023. Bloomberg. Geopolitics. Israel accepts U.S.-backed Gaza ceasefire proposal as Hamas voices objections and seeks revisions. Guardian. There's a lot more different sources today. I thought that was interesting. But Chad, there is more, my friends. S&P futures, they're down by 0.3 Friday morning, though off the worst levels. Comes after U.S. equities finished higher on Thursday. Stocks still on track for a strong weekly gain. S&P and NASDAQ on pace to cap off the best month since November of 23. This week's upside leadership from big tech, semis, financial, travel, and leisure, and biotech. Treasuries not doing much following a Thursday rally and largely in line core PCE. Dollars up by 0.1, Bitcoin up by 0.3, gold down by 0.5, and WTI is down by 1.1. Traders continue to dominate the headlines with the morning downside tab to Trump Truth Social post accusing China of violating agreement with U.S. to ease tariffs. Fits with commentary from Bessent that U.S.-China talks have been stalled, though he said that negotiations will continue in the coming weeks. No surprise, White House is looking to shift legal authorization for tariffs. Sections 122 and 301 seem to be the likeliest options. Even in the wake of the temporary reprieve from federal appeals court. Non-tariff barriers also in focus. Recent scrutiny surrounding Section 890. Dude, I didn't think, yesterday when I went over Section 899, I didn't think anybody was going to talk about it. But yeah, they are everywhere. Financial Times, Bloomberg, even Wall Street Journal. But literally, yeah, that's Section 899, bro. So that's on the watch list if you want to know more about it. Allows U.S. to increase tax rates for individuals and companies from countries with discriminatory tax policies, including digital tax service. Earnings takeaway mixed and doesn't seem to be having a much broader impact on the flow front. Focus will be on potential month-end selling from U.S. pensions. April core PCE up by 1 month over month, matching consensus, slightly flat from March's reading of 2.5. Personal income up by 0.8 month over month, better than the 0.4 forecast, while last month revised up. Personal spending light up by 0.2 versus 0.4 forecast, and Michigan consumer sentiment still to come. Looking ahead for next week, ISM manufacturing on Monday, JOLTS on Tuesday, ISM on Wednesday, non-farms on Friday. Next week's Fed Speak highlighted by Powell's speech at the Fed International Finance Division's 75th anniversary conference on Monday. Wow. I know, I think Don Lemon did tell everybody after the watch list. That's weird, because I really thought it was a weird thing to talk about. That's why I was telling you. I was like, I saw this on Deutsche Bank and Zero Hedge, but then by the time we woke up, everybody's talking about it. So fascinating. But we got plays, baby. So pre-market movers, you got Ulta. I really like Ulta. So shout out to the long term. Ulta's up by 8.3 off earnings. Zscaler is up by 5.2 off of earnings. Toyota up by 2.4. Plans to raise June-August global production to 2.5 million units. CoreWeave is up by 1.4. Dexcom up 1.3. Goldman initiates buy. UiPath up 12 off earnings. Beam is up 1.7. Confirms FDA orphan drug designation granted. iNod up 1.1. VivK up 91. Board approved distribution shares of Adaptee. RRGB up 37 off earnings. Trox up 4.5 off JP Morgan upgrade. TIL up 3.9 in reaction as Summit. Gap down 14, earnings guidance exclusive of current tariffs. Regen down 11, results for chronic obstructive pulmonary disease phase 3 trials. Summit down 10, topical or top line results from Harmony phase 3 clinical trial. IonQ down 8, COO down 8 off earnings, NTAP down 6.2 off earnings, SNY down 5 off trial results, Marvel down 3.7 earnings, Airbnb down 2.7, Truist downgrade. Oh, I didn't even show you guys these pictures yesterday. I forgot. We were having too much fun with policy. Firm down 1.6 off nothing. EOG down 1.3 to acquire Encino acquisition partners from CCP Investments. MU down 1.1 in reaction to report Intel and others are working on new lower power memory for AI applications. Dell down 0.8 off earnings. Costco down 0.3 off earnings. ESTC down 11 off of earnings. AEO down 8 off of earnings. EOSE down 18 million offering. Rigetti down 6 open market agreement 350 million offering. And Vitis down by 2.6 inside sale. Galaxy down 2.8, 31 million offering. 2 down 1.5, update on termination of management agreement. Sats down 27, skips interest payment. CLGN down 22, 3.6 million registered direct bio offering. MDCX down 22, best effort pricing at 310. And then select China stocks trading lower. Pisces Biomedical. Cheridonia. My goodness. I thought we were making good time, but no, the day is about to begin, bros. It is about to begin. So, Chad, I hope you're feeling good, man. I hope you're ready for a Friday. You know, let's make it a good Friday, my friends. But you know the vibes. Here at the Cult, baby. Before we do anything, before we try to chase the dollar, before we try to enrich ourselves, we must pay homage to a very special group of people that has made a sacrifice that most of us never have and ever will. And I am talking about the veterans of the United States of America. So on behalf of the Cult, the people here, the people not here, from the bottom of my heart, man, veterans and the families, thank you for everything you have given. If anybody should be benefiting off of this content, getting a long term, getting a crib, all of it, it should be you, man. So be smart, be wise out there. I really hope we could help, but above that, I really do hope that we could change culture. And for those of you who do not serve, I don't serve. If you don't know that, I've never served in my life. That is why I am in their debt. I hope we could change culture and make this something a part of every generation, man. I really hope we could honor those who have given up everything for our freedom. You guys act like they agreed with everything. Nah, man. But they showed up day in, day out, regardless of what was going on, and they put their literal lives on the line for our country and freedom. So I really hope y'all can show this love, man. Bring it beyond the internet. Use your voice. It really does have an impact, and I hope we could do it and use it to support our veterans. So veterans, the families, thank all of you, and big shout out to anybody else out there giving back to their local communities. Doctors, nurses, teachers, firefighters, police officers, the janitors, the coaches, the garbage men, anybody making their community run, baby. God bless you and thank you. But ladies and gentlemen, please rise. Place your right hand over your heart. Say it with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, baby. Son of the judge! Oh, it's game time, baby. Horn! Oh, yeah, it's Friday. Shout out to veterans, baby. Stop it. Oh, yeah, we got good time now. We got 5 minutes. So, Chad, let's go over some plays here in a little bit. But first, we must make the move to Gen Pop. Oh, yeah, move on over. Time to move on over. Good morning. Hi. All right, baby, let's go. Let's go. It's Friday. I can't believe it's already Friday. Didn't this week just fly by because we had that day off? And then all the crazy policy stuff? I know, it's wild. All right, I'll see you there, baby. Peace.